And we are live. Hello everyone, I'm Anshul. Welcome to Geekosopher's Tech. In today's session, we will be building a demo application using the concepts that we learned on the session one. And today we have another guest with us, Devansh Mehta. He is also an Android expert. So he has joined today. So welcome, Devansh. How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Yeah. Hi, Anshu. I am feeling really
Hmm.
great and excited to learn. I'm really pumped up to see what this Jetpack Compose takes us, and let's see what we learn today.
Okay. So yeah, Shrey,
So,
let's begin.
all right. So today, let's build a we'll be using the concepts that we learned yesterday. Plus, we'll also learn some new concepts like MVVM and all. So basically, what we'll be going to build is something like this. So it would be a movie app, and
Hmm.
we'll be using the TMDB API to fetch the list of movies. And whenever a user clicks on any movie, they can basically view its detailed page. So we'll be integrating two APIs from TMDB, and
Okay.
yeah. So basically, these are some of the things that we'll be looking at today. So one is MVVM
Hmm.
architecture. Then we have networking using retrofit. We have the pagination using the pagination 3 library for Compose. And then we'll
Hmm.
also look at state management in Compose, which we'll anyways going to need to manage this. So MVVM architecture is basically model view model kind of architecture. So model represents the data layer and consists of business logic, which could be the local and remote source. So we can have the remote data source, which would be the API, networking APIs and all. And then we could also have the local data source, which would be our local DB or anything that we use to store information. Then
Hmm.
this all is repository is basically responsible for fetching the data from these from data sources. Then we have the view layer. Basically, view layer is nothing but having the presentation and UI code. It and then we have the view model, which is basically used to communicate between these two. So as we can see from this diagram, any UI event is sent to view model. View model sends a request to repository, and repository is responsible for getting the data and and sending back the data to view model, and then view model sends back the response to the view, which then updates the uh, view and all. So yeah. So yeah, networking as I mentioned, we'll be using retrofit and OKHTTP clients, pagination, and yeah. So let's start, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So we'll be using the empty compose activity to start a project. Let's name it movies and finish. So okay. So first of all, there are some things that I need to configure. So first, we'll
Okay.
change the Kotlin version to 1.6.10. We'll change the Compose version to 1.1.1.
Hmm.
Then we'll
Any
also,
specific reason for this versions?
these are latest versions, that's it. Latest
Okay.
stable versions. Huh.
Okay.
Um, so in the app level Gradle file, we'll
Hmm.
use some, let me add the dependencies. So these are basically just responsible for compose and everything. Then we have the life cycle. Um, then we also have the retrofit paging, OKHTTP and coroutines. And then lastly, we have coin and coil. So basically, lifecycle is basically used to like these are some extension functions that lifecycle provides. Then retrofit is used for network calls. JSON is used for serialization and deserialization. Pagination, we'll see. So basically, pagination means that not when the API has a lot of data, it does not sends it directly to the client. It's instead it divides it into certain number of items, and then it sends the. So like let's say the API has the data, the TMDB database has 1,000 movies. So if it sends 1,000 movies, the API will be really slow. So instead, it divides it into chunks of 20 pieces and then sends the page number in with it. So when we can send the page number on the as a query parameter, and according to that, it will just send us those results. Then we have coroutines in Android for async programming. Coin we'll use for dependency injection, and coil is used to basically load the images in the compose views.
What do we use this OK HTTP for?
So this OK HTTP is nothing but making the like it handles this networking call and everything.
Okay.
So yeah, it's basically loads stuff faster and saves bandwidth. That's it. So okay, so basically let's sync it. Um, yeah, so we're done Gradle. So now let's start with some basic major classes. So first, let's create our data layer. So we'll make a package. Inside data package, we'll have some more packages. One would be model. Next would be network. Then next would be repository. Apart from data, we'll need one package for DI, and then we have the UI and everything. So okay, and next we also need the application class, of course. Application. Inside application, for now we'll just have we have one function which would be to basically set up the setup point. And this would be start coin, and we can pass several things in it. First, I'll pass in the Android context, and then we get pass the list of modules. Where we'll pass the list of modules that we create. So then inside DI, okay, let's move to DI later. So okay, let's look at the TMDB API first. So this TMDB API, we are going to be using these two APIs. One is the discovered/movie, and another one would be the movie/movie ID to get detailed information about movie. So as we can see, this is the result that we'll get for the this is the response structure. So let's copy it. Then in Android Studio, we'll go to model, and so this is a really good what do you say library or
Plugin.
Mo-
Yeah,
Plugin, yeah, plugin, yeah. So this would really help. This really helps to basically get the info.
this is a lifesaver.
Yeah. So basically, this helps us in creating the data class directly from the response. We don't need to manually go in and type every type every this key and type of value and all. So I'll just
That
name it
is really good. What it is called?
discover generate. It's basically
Like,
Kotlin data class something.
so this is a
It
plugin.
is, yeah,
Yeah,
this
it's
plugin is called
What is?
JSON to Kotlin
JSON to
class.
yeah, JSON to Kotlin class.
So
Yeah.
in this, what happens is you don't
Hmm.
need to manually create the data classes. Whatever JSON
Hmm.
response the API is given, you can directly paste it in this plugin, and it generates the data classes for you.
That is really
So ideally, would I'd have to like write all this
amazing.
code so it generated all this itself. So
Nice.
backdrop path, it might be null somewhere, so that's why it's given as any, and poster path is also any. So basically, to go over this,
Hmm.
the root node would contain the page number, current page number, the total, the results. That would be the list of movies.
Hmm.
Then we'll have the total number of pages, and then we'll have the total number of results. Inside
Okay.
it, we would have adult as a boolean, backdrop path, genre IDs, ID, original language, title, overview, and so on and so forth.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's it. Next, apart from this, let's go to the second API, movies. I'll copy this. I'll do the same thing again. Let's say movie details and poster path. Let me give it as some string. So generate. So all this information is generated automatically. So like a
Hmm.
lot of it is not useful in our use case. So we can also remove
Hmm.
those. It belongs to collection, budget, genres we'll keep, then home page ID, IMDb ID, original line. This also be original language, title, overview we'll need. Popularity we can remove, production companies, production countries, then
Hmm.
revenue, um, runtime revenue we can runtime, spoken languages, status, tagline title, video, then vote average vote count we can do, and these will no longer need. All right. So one thing that so if we see the preview, so we'll need for the for the detail screen we'll need the title, we'll need the rating,
Hmm.
we'll need the
Hmm.
overview and list of genres and the release year mainly.
Okay.
So if we see in the API, the release date is sent something like this. The
Hmm.
YYY dash and DD, MM or DD, something that some kind of format. So if we need to
Hmm.
Mhm.
segregate the year from it, so what I'll do is I'll just write a function here, get release here. So this release here can be blank. So just to remove that possibility, if release
Hmm.
date dot is not blank, release date dot split using hyphen, and then we'll take the first. Otherwise,
Hmm.
we'll just return an empty string. Yeah, I think that should do it. also to get the yeah, to get the genres list, get genres. So genre, if we see uh, genre, yeah. So genre is basically sent as a list of objects. It contains ID and name. So what we need is, like, if it's drama, action, and all, we need those to be comma separated. So to do that, I'm writing this function, get genres equal to genres dot join to string, and for every object, I'll just get the get dot name. So what it will do is it will automatically provide me with something like drama, love, action, and so on. So that would be properly formatted as we need. So again, this is a really helpful extension function. And yeah, I think this is movie details. So model is complete. Now let's go on to network. We'll create our API service where we'll basically just define what our endpoints are. So as first is the gets 3/discover/movie. Okay, one thing that we didn't do inside our Gradle file, we also should basically give the base URL and key. This key, it's not recommended to be in the Gradle file, but ideally it should be in some other properties file or some file which is not there in the VCS, so that it's not uploaded to the GitHub or any source control. But for purposes of this tutorial, let's place it here only.
Okay.
And we'll create one more for debug. And yeah, I think now. Let's build it also. Here, it will give error. Yeah. So this build is basically necessary to generate the config file, build config files. So yeah. So let's get to it. Yes, service. So suspend function. So suspend is a keyword which is used to denote that the function that we are writing is a coroutine function, and it's a coroutine because we are
Coroutine.
yeah. So
What does
coroutine
that mean?
basically it's coroutines are so we have in Java and all, we have other languages, we have threads for doing async programming, but Kotlin introduces coroutines. It can be considered as a really light version of thread. So yeah, that's basically coroutines.
Okay.
Uh,
So yeah, so they are just in reality some well-handled thread framework.
so our first parameter that we need to pass is it's a query parameter, and we need to pass the API key. So this would be API key of type string, and we can take the value from build config dot API key. Then we need the page number. So by default, its value would be 1, and it would return the result as discover movie. Yeah, and another function would be um, get movie details. So it would first have the path variable. This would be the movie ID that we need to fetch. Then it has two more basically vari two more parameters. One is the
API
API
and
key,
language.
and second is the language. That would be US English, and then it would return the data as movie details. So this basically completes our API service. So what we need to do is we need to go to repository and create a new repository. So this repository will be calling the API service and getting the data from there, and yeah, it will be passing. Basically, it will be passing the data to the view models. So let's name it movies repository. So it will require an instance of API service, and yeah, mm, let's copy the name from there only. Get all movies, and page will pass as mm, yeah. And similarly for the second option, get movie details, we'll get the movie ID as a parameter, and API service dot get movie details. That's the movie ID, and API key and languages default. That we don't need to change. So this is basically the repository setup. So one thing to note here is that it requires an instance of API service. So ideally, what we'll need to do without dependency injection, we would have to create an instance every time and need to pass it to the movies repository. Or if not, like we would have to create an instance every time we instantiate movies repository. We would have to do something like private val API service one equal and create the retrofit client and everything and create it there only itself every time. So to remove that, we'll just pass this API service from the like we'll create one instance of it and we'll pass it using dependency injection. So okay, let's create this app module for the dependency injection. So this app module will basically contain two modules. One would be for repositories and view models and those stuff, and another one would be for the net module, which would be for handling this retrofit and everything. So app module. Oh, let's go with net module first. So this is a declaration. For now, we'll create the single. This single is basically stands for singleton. Like whatever we are going to return, it's a it's a singleton object, and it will persist for the life cycle of the application. So first, let's create the OK HTTP client um, interceptor. Interceptor dot OK HTTP client dot builder dot add interceptor into dot build. Yeah. So this will return the OK HTTP client.
Mhm.
Then we have the factory method for retrofit.
So
So this
these
get
methods are predefined in this coin.
yeah, this single and factory, right? This single and factory you're talking about, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, these are part of this coin library only.
Okay.
Yeah. So this get, so I have written get. So what this get does is, if it searches for the modules, if we see what this client requires, so this client requires an OKHTTP client parameter. Since we already have created this OKHTTP client, we just need to write get, and it will get search for its instance, and if it's there, it will just get it. Otherwise, it would give a bean not defined exception. Then for base URL, we can again use a build config and get the API base URL. Then we'll use the converter factory for JSON create, and then we'll build it. And lastly, we'll create a singleton for the API service.
Mhm.
Create API service dot class. So here what I've done is, I've directly written, if I directly wrote get, it would not know what kind of object it needs. So that's why I've specified the type uh, as a in these brackets, and then I have written create and then passed in the API service, which holds all the network, holds all these endpoints. All right. So yeah, so this is the net module. Then let's have the app module also. So one thing we need is the repository. So we'll create a singleton for that. Movies repository, and we'll write get. So this movies repository, if we see, it requires an API service. And since we have already created this API service here in the net module, it will be able to get the reference here.
Mhm.
So yeah. So now what we need to, let's go to the app class and instance it. So it requires list of. So one would be app module dot app module. Then the next would be app module dot net module. Yeah. So if we have other modules also, we can add it to this list only, and it will set up. And let's lastly call the setup coin. Okay. So app class is also done. Next, so basically, whenever we have this app class, we should also define it in the manifest file. So
Mhm.
this manifest file basically contains information about the application. So one thing we'll need is internet, of course, to communicate with the network source. And then
Mhm.
to declare our app here, we'll inside the application, we'll pass in the name and pass in the application class here. So now our application knows that this app class is the main application class. So yeah. So that with that we have the repository set up, we have the module set up. So later on, when we need the view models also, we'll just pass them here, and then get it there. Yeah. So now, okay, let's see the preview once more. So here, in the first screen that we'll have a grid system, and inside grid system we have this we have this kind of a column layout which has image, then the name, and then the rating bar. So yeah. So so as I mentioned, paging. So paging, we'll be having a pagination. So whenever a user scrolls it and reaches the end, like let's say 20 results were loaded. So as soon as 20 results are shown, the API, the pagination data source that we'll create, it will automatically load, like make another call to the API with the next page number and load more data and append it to the existing data. So we'll see more data appended to it. So yeah, to do that, we'll create a paging source for it. Create a movie paging source. So to make the network call, we'll need the repository here. Movies repository, and it would be of type paging source. It would extend paging source. And this takes two parameters. First is the key type, and second is a value. So key is the page number. So right now we have the int for it, and then the value type would be the discover movie dot result. So this means that like this is every item that we need. So this result holds every, like this is a list of items. So every item would be of type result. So that's what we need here. So we need to change, and then we need to pass. We need to implement two members. So one is get refresh key, and other one is load. So get refresh key basically returns state dot and proposition, and then load, we'll do a try catch method. Return load result dot error. And if I try, we'll first specify the next page, params dot key. Pass in the next page, load result dot page. So this takes three parameters. Data would be movies list dot results. Previous key would be like if next page equal one, this it would be null. If it would be next page minus one. Next key would be movie list dot results dot is empty. It would be null. Else it would be movies list dot page plus one. So just to explain what happened here, inside this load function, we first get this next page, which would be passed in as a parameter and parameter key. So, and this movies list is what we this would basically make the network call, and load result inside this page, we give the data. It would be the load movie results dot result whatever the results that we need. Previous key is like if the next page is one, it would the previous key would all automatically be null. We don't need to pass zero or anything. We just pass in null. Otherwise, if next page is greater than one, it would be next page minus one. And again, next key if the results is empty. So let's say we have reached the last page and we load after it. The list would we would get an empty result. So that's why if this results is empty, we pass in null. Otherwise, we do it. So this movies list all has this page parameter, which gives the current page. So we just add one to it and pass that to the next key. And if there is an exception, we pass it in the error.
So what does
So
this above get refresh key function does?
so if we see the document,
Mhm.
so this get refresh key, mm, it basically I've also not studied much about it. But yeah, I think we'll get some information from the
Key for the page to
documentation.
be loaded. Mhm.
No, that's the key parameter. Paging source dot get refresh key. Yeah. So basically, it provides a key used for the initial load for the next paging source due to the invalidation of paging.
Okay.
Mm, Yeah. Mm, And this anchor position is the most recently accessed index in the list, including placeholders. Yeah, so I think this anchor position would be the last item that we have in the grid or the list in the view. So it returns, yeah, anchor position it
Mhm.
returns.
Okay.
So yeah, app module and movie paging source is done. So now let's move on to the UI part. So
Hmm.
inside UI only, let's create another package. That would be home, and another one would be details. And inside home, let's move the main activity to home, and also rename this main activity to home activity. Something happened. Hmm, it's okay. Yeah, home activity. Now we have the home activity. So if we see the preview once again, we have an app bar, and then we have the grid. Also,
Hmm.
we'll implement a loader to get the like first time before the UI loads, um, just so that the UI is not empty. We'll also have a loader over here.
Mhm.
So let's remove these composables and remove the theme and surface also. Mm, Okay, let's have another package for components that we need.
Mhm.
So here we need three. Let's first create the app bar that we need.
Mhm.
Kotlin. So it would be a composable function, and let's name it app bar. And this would be a top app bar. This top app bar is a material widget that we get. So basically, automatically, it by default only provides some placeholder slots for the values that we need. So if we see,
Mhm.
we can either make this like we can provide the entire content by ourselves, or otherwise we can use the slots that we already have. So let's for title, I can provide the title to it. So let's get the title also from there only, and this title would be actually composable. Yeah. Mm, color would be white. Hmm. Do we have something extra here? We need the, okay, now it's done. Yeah. So basically that's it, and let's pass in the modifier also. So by default, we would have the status bars and navigation bar also, and that would be of primary variant color. So since we don't want those colors to interfere with it, so we'll just give it status bar padding, and like we'll see it once it's there in the UI. And the background color. Okay, also let's define the colors. Hmm. So these three colors are the colors that we are going to be using in this app. So define it in the color. Dark blue. Yeah,
Can we see the result like?
yeah, that's what I'm
No?
making. App bar preview, and it would be app bar. And title we'll just give it as movies. Yeah. So now if we build the app, once it's built, we should be able to see the review for it. Yeah. So this is the app bar which we would get in our application. So yeah, one is this app bar, and another component would be the rating bar. So rating bar. So in interest of time, I'll just I have already created this rating bar, and I'll just paste it here. This would anyways be there in the code that we'll be attaching to the video. But yeah, so if you build the app again for the preview. Yeah. So I have basically what is in preview, I have provided three in a column, I have provided three kind of values. So one would be 2F and 3.5 and 4.8. So it would something look something like this.
Okay.
So to explain what I've actually done is basically I have created a path for it first. This path is nothing but some calculation to like it um, it's some calculation for going over the path of this star shape. Then to get the shape, we use a generic shape function for it and add the star path that we provided. And for every rating star that we have, we provide four parameters. One is the rating, the actual value of the rating color, the modifier parameter for it, and then the background color, which would be this yellowish color. So every one of it is basically just on the canvas. I have like we draw this draw rect is basically just a function to give a draw a rectangle, and we inside it we pass in the. So if you see, we have a brush which. So what we are doing is we are taking a blank this disabled star, And on top of it, we are impose if the rating is more than 0, we are imposing this. We are like superposing this yellow star part of it, part of the yellow star which is there. So, and once it's done, we have the rating bar. Rating bar is basically a row, and this is some calculation that I've done. So 1 to 5, this is a range function. It would provide the range. So if the rating is more than the step, we give it 1f. So 1f means that this star would be completely filled. So if step dot remainder, if we divide it and get the remainder, and it's less than 1f. So for example, for this, the value is 3.5 and the step value is 4. So if we divide 4 by 3.5, we'll get some value less than 1. So this rating would be step minus 1f, and we'll subtract that from rating. So if it's 3.5, we'll get step would be 4, 4 minus 1, 3, and 3.5 minus 3 would be zero point 0.5. So that. And otherwise, if it's
Okay.
we'll get 0. 0 would mean that the star is completely empty. And then we'll pass the step rating inside this rating star. And color also we can provide. By default, it's this yellowish color. So this would be the rating bar. And then the last component for the preview would be this complete list item that we need. So let's make that also. Movie card. That this would have the movie name. It would have the poster URL. It would have the rating as a double. Then it would have the modifier. And then it would have an on-click function to tell us what to do when user clicks on it. And create that. First, we need to, if we see, all of this is laid out vertically. So let's have a column. Inside column, we'll just use the above modifier. And we'll make it clickable and pass in the on-click function. And let's give it some padding of 12 dps on all sides. So this clickable, as I mentioned in the previous lecture, it directs that it tells this composable that this composable would be clickable. So and when any user clicks on it, it would call this function, whatever it's there in these curly braces. All right. So inside this column, we first have the image. If we see the image, we need to provide the image size to. So instead of hard coding the image size, what I'll do is I'll provide the aspect ratio. So the width to height ratio would always be 2:3. So let's create the async image to the image request dot builder. Inside builder, we need to pass in the context. And content description, we can pass it as poster. Then image request only, we need to enable. So this first fade would, what it will do is basically provide a nice fading effect when the image loads. And then we need to also provide the data. Data would be the poster URL. But if we see in the TMDB API, images. So we need to pass in some string before getting the path. We'll from the API we will just get this path. We need to append this link to the path also.
Hmm.
So let's get that, and then slash and post the URL. Yeah, and then let's
So
try
this
that.
async image is from Coil.
Yeah. So this async images from Coil, it provides basically this it loads async on an async thread. So that's why otherwise we would it stutters the UI thread. So that's why
Hmm.
I'm using async image.
Hmm.
So then async and so this is the model content description. Then so this content scale, let's pass it as crop. So content scale dot crop, and inside modifier, let's provide modifier dot aspect ratio. Aspect ratio would be width to height, 2 by 3f. And also, uh, if we see this, we have some kind of rounded rectangle here. So let's make it rounded also. Clear? And it requires some shape. So we have the rounded corner shape,
Rounded
and
corner shape.
yeah, and we'll pass in the size for all the corners. So this makes the async image. Then next we need text for this white text for the title. Max lines would be 1. Overflow, in case the text overflows, we'll ellipsize it. Then
Hmm.
color would be white, and font size would be 12 SP, and modifier would be, we'll give the padding, top padding we'll give as 8 dp, and we'll also wrap content with. And lastly, we have the rating bar. And rating, so from the API, the rating is provided out of 10. So since we just have 5
Oh.
star, we'll just divide the rating by 2.
Hmm.
Whatever rating we receive, we'll just divide it to 2. And right now I'm just passing it as float. And modifier dot height, I'll provide as 12 dp. And padding, I'll provide top equal 4.dp. So yeah, this is the movie card. And so that basically completes the components also that we need. So now inside the home activity,
Hmm.
also we need the view model to get the data from repository. So
Hmm.
let's get the view model also. Mm, Home view model. It will require this to movie repository, and it would extend view model. So we now that we need this movies repository, we also need to add it in the app module. View model. So let's have is loading. And next we need to get the list of movies. It would be of type flow. Discover movie dot result and value will be pager. Paging config. Page size would be 20. If we see from the API response, it gives 20 results at once. Inside it will be provide the paging source with the repository and flow, and we'll cache then the vmodel scope. That's it. So in the activity, we'll first get the reference to the view model. And just to note here, there are two functions with the same name, but from different packages. We need to use the coin one, and that also from the coin compose. Movie list items, will be paging items. Type discover movie dot result equal to home view model dot movie dot that will be paging items. And movie list item. So basically, this is just to control the loader that we have. So when this load state dot refresh is load state dot loading. This load state dot refresh, this is when the first load is happening, initial load. So when there is no when this is a like consider this as the initial request that we have. So when it is loading, we'll set this value to true. And then when load state dot spend dot spend is state dot loading, we can have some statement here also that we can have. And when load state dot refresh is load state dot not loading, when it's not loading, we'll remove this loader. So we'll set its value to false. And then we also have one more load state dot append is load state dot error. This would tell us when there is error, so we can maybe log the error also. Log.e or whatever we need, we can log the error as well. So this can be used to handle the state. And to create this entire UI, what we'll do is we'll use another widget from material library only. It's called a scaffold. It provides the slots for various other widgets. So it already provides a slot for the app bar, and then if we needed the side drawer, we could also have that here. If we needed the scaffold, my bad, the snack bar, we also have a snack bar host state for that. So that's why I'm using scaffold here. So top bar, and that's why I use the app bar with title movies. Then apart from this, I need the modifier dot fill max size to cover the entire size. And lastly, we need the background color, which would be dark blue.
No.
So if the value of loader is like if it's loading, we'll show just a circular paging. We need to show a progress indicator.
Loading.
So
Yeah.
to do that, I'll just make a complete fill box, and in center of it, I need to add this circular progress bar indicator. Modifier equal modifier dot align alignment dot center. And apart from it, let's give the color also to sky blue. Yeah. And if it's not loading, we'll show the grid that we have. So last day we saw the lazy column and lazy row. Today let's see the
Mm.
lazy grid, vertical grid. So it has some parameters like it's asking for columns. So we can have the fixed number of columns, or we can have flexible number of columns also. So if we see grid cells. So if we use the adaptive one, it would if we had the like if we gave a fixed size to our items, we could have the adaptive ones, and it would adapt to the screen size. For now, let's use a fixed three-column grid, and content we'll pass later. Apart from it, I'll also pass in the modifier dot fill max size, and lastly I'll pass in the achievement. So it's space evenly, and yeah, basically last thing we need to do is we need to pass the items dot item count, and we'll get the key from there. Dot let. If it's not null, we'll go in and call the movie card composable. We'll pass the name as movie dot original title. We'll pass the poster URL, poster path, and rating we'll pass it as movie dot vote average divided by 2. And on click, we can basically call the intent and open the next activity. For
Mm.
now, let's leave it at to do. And yeah, I think that should do it for the first screen. Let's see. All right. So now here we can see the movies that have been loaded. One thing that we need to do is remove
Remove
this
this.
status bar. So for that, let's go into this themes folder in the res and add these two lines and remove this one. Now if we run the app again, yeah. So earlier we had a loader and then we have this list. So now once I've reached at the end of list, we can see that more results are loaded.
Mm.
So that's how this pagination we were able to do the pagination.
Mm,
Now
that's pretty neat.
on item click so now
Mm.
what we need to do is on item click we need to open the second page which would contain this. So let me quickly make another activity in the details. uh, movie details activity, and it would be of type component activity. We can also have it as app compat activity on create. I'll do the set content. Yeah, and also we need to define this in the manifest. Yeah. I think is good. Yeah. Okay. To launch this first, uh, let's have a companion object. This would be the key we need to pass for the movie ID. Then context and also the movie ID as an int. And context and the movie details activity. We pass in the movie ID and movie ID that we pass, and finally context.start activity. Right. So from the home activity, we can simply just call this launch function. Movie details activity dot launch. Context we'll pass it as home activity, and then movie dot ID. This would launch the second activity that we have. All right. So movie details activity. For this movie details activity, also we'll need the movie ID. And we need to get that from movie ID dot equal intent dot get intent extra movie ID, and by default its value will be -1. Also, we'll need the view models to make the network call for this also. So movie details view model. And from view model, and define it in the app module also. Yep. For the movie details view model, we would have movie details as the mutable live data of type movie details, and then we would have the accessor for it. Movie details live data type movie details, and then we would have a function to fetch the movie details using the ID. So we'll use a view model scope dot launch, and since the repository function is a coroutine function, we need to launch it inside another coroutine, inside a coroutine scope. So we'll do movie details dot post value. movie repository dot get movie details and pass in the movie ID. We'll also put fact section here. So yeah, that completes the view model also. Set content. Movie details view model. Type movie details by view model. If movie ID is not equal to -1, we use a launched effect and pass the key as the movie ID because we know that this is unless this is changed, we don't need to call this effect again.
Did you guys cover this launched effect yesterday?
No, no, no. So if we go to this launch effect, so what this launch effect? It's a kind of side effect only. So this would like it launches a coroutine, and if the launch effect basically so it's used to survive this the key parameter we need when we pass this key parameter it tells when like let's say suppose we have passed some key parameter, so it's not going to launch unless this key is changed.
Okay.
So yeah, and inside the block we pass the coroutine function that we need.
Okay. So like in order to use coroutine in a composable activity or in the compose activity, we need to use this launched effect.
Yeah, we can use launched effect, we can also use side effect also. So again, there's a
Okay.
this is a completely different topic, so
Mhm.
let's skip it for now.
For some
So
other
this would
day.
basically, yeah. So yeah, now now this is done. So movie. So what this would to break down this layout, we have two compose like we can break it down into two parts. One would be the column which would contain all this, and one would be this icon for back as an overlay. So to like implement it, I'll use a box to and it would fill max size and the background would be dark blue inside it. Movie details view model dot fetch movie details. No, the dot movie details dot so this movie details is a live data. We we can observe it as a state
Observe.
and value dot let. So when this is not a null value, we'll call the movie details screen here. And apart from this, we also have the icon button for the back. On back, so this would call the on back press of the home act of this activity.
Mhm.
And modifier it if we give
Clear.
we give the status bars padding and then the padding additional padding for 16 dp from all sides. And inside the icon button, we'll call an image. Okay, one more thing. So if we directly give this image, white arrow or any black arrow, if the background image is of that color only, it would be hidden. So to prevent that, we also give it as a we also give it a backdrop. So that we'll add it as a drawable. We'll copy the drawable for now. So yeah, this would be our drawable. So to load this, um, and do image vector dot vector resource and pass in the ID. Content description we can pass back. This would create our back button. So now the last thing is the details screen that we have. So did that. Uh, let's create another composable. Movie details screen maybe, and then we need to pass it the movie details object. So it would be a column with modifier dot fill max width, fill max size rather. And then first we have the image, which would cover 40% of the entire screen. So we'll write another async image, model image request dot builder. We'll pass in the context. We pass the content description as poster, and we need to pass the data for it. Data again, we need to get that string. And this time we, instead of poster, we'll use the backdrop path. We'll enable the crossfade build. Apart from this, we'll give the content scale of cropping for cropping. We'll we can next go to the modifier, fill max width, and fill max height. So this fill max height also accepts a fraction parameter. So by default, it's one. One means that it would cover the complete height of it, whatever the parameter is.
What?
If we give the fraction as 0.4f or 0.5f, it would cover the and it would get the entire screen width or height, and it will just cover the fraction that we are providing. So this 0.4f. Next, we have the text. We have the text. We have a row. We have another text, and then we have two details for it. So to quickly cover it. Let me get it only. So import the compose. So basically, I'm passing the movie details or title. I'm passing font size, font weight, color, fill max width, and the padding. So it would have 16 dp of padding from start and end, and 24 dp of padding from top. Next, we have the row. Dot padding. We keep the padding as 16 dp only from top. And inside it, I'll have a button. So inside it, so inside it, what I've done is I've declared a button. On click of it would do nothing for now. Yeah.
We don't get the
I
link
have provided
from the API.
we can get what we can do from on click is that we can launch the home page that we get from the API. that we can do, or we also get the IMDb ID, so we can open the IMDb page for it. So that is very simple using intent. So let's leave it for now.
Yeah.
We provide the colors using the button colors. So we have background color, we have content color. We also have the disabled background color and disabled content color. In case the button is disabled, we need to provide another color. We can do that also. The content padding basically is the space between the text and the border of the button. Text or whatever composable we have, that and the border. And shape, I've provided the rounded corner shape, and now instead of providing a size, I've provided a percentage, like how much percent of it should be curved. So that I've to get this pill shape, I've given the percentage as 100. Inside it, we have just a simple text watch now. Then, since we need to get the rating at the end, we cannot in row we cannot directly say that you should align this at start and this at end. To what we can do is we can provide a spacer for it. So, and this spacer is just a simple composable which is not visible at all. It just like it just has some size and all. So I'm just giving it as weight 1F. So it will cover whatever width it's left. It will cover. So it's kind of this button, then spacer over here, and at last it will have we'll have the rating bar. We could have also gone with row inside row only. We could have the arrangement and space between. So it would automatically space it, something like that. And finally, we have the rating bar. We divide it by 2 and provide the rating. And we have the modifier we increase the height to 16 dp. Next, we have the another text. So after this row, again we have the text, color, size, height, and padding. But nothing new here. And at last, we see that these two rows are similar in sense that they have a title and then they have a value. So we can again have another composable for it. Um, so yeah, this details row would have key, value, and some modifier. Generally, it's a good practice to pass modifier as an optional parameter in case we need to if in case we need to reuse this component again and again. So it's just a simple row. It has a text, then it has a spacer of 20 dp, and then we have another text. That's it. So after the text here, we'll pass the details row. We'll call the details row function for genre, and value would be movie details dot get genres. Modifier again we have, and for the releases, if this release here is not blank, we'll show this details row. So key we have release, we have the release here, and again some padding. And I think that would be pretty much it for this tree as well. Let's quickly run it. Okay, I forgot to call this function. We do everything and movie details screen we pass the movie details. Yeah. Now I think everything should be covered. Yeah. So we have these movies and all. And whenever if we want to see any movie, we have this.
Nice.
We have the title, we have the rating bar, and everything we have. The best part is that this coil also takes care of caching the images. So if you see, if I open any random, it takes some time, but next time it won't take that much time.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
So we
Huh.
like we provided this for caching. We provided it separately somewhere, right? It doesn't do automatically.
Uh,
Forgot
Coil.
where. I think you, yeah,
No, coil does it automatically.
automatically.
Coil does it automatically. Yeah.
But what if like we need to like have some control over it?
We also can have the control over it.
Acha.
So if we see we can visit the documentation for Coil and see that like they must have some builder and all for that.
Hmm. Got
So yeah,
Okay,
that was pretty much it.
that was a pretty good demo. Thank you, Shrey, for the whole full explanation. Hope you will provide the HANA GitHub link soon to us so that we can like run the demo on
Yeah,
or
yeah,
in our machines also.
definitely. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
let's
Devansh,
do
for
that also.
joining.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shrey.
Thanks a lot
Let's
All
end
for
the
right.
having
session
me.
then.
Yeah. Thanks for having.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Bye bye.